What's it?
Since it's sharing your screen.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can all hear me okay now. This is Dave Daughtry speaking. If you can hear me, somebody please type in the text box that you can hear me, just so I know I'm not talking only to myself here. Can you guys hear me? Good morning. All right, I'm going to type again. Dave, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Yes, we hear you. Okay, thanks, Ann. I appreciate that. Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, somebody's saying no, they cannot hear me. Claudia says no. So you guys, if somebody can hear me and somebody cannot hear me, it's got to be on your end. So check your speakers, make sure your speakers are up and that you can hear me. I'm getting a lot of no, I cannot hear yous. All right. So Ann, some reason you can hear me. That's strange. Chris can hear me. We've got a number of you that can, some say you can't. All right. We got Michael from Australia. Thanks for joining in all the way from Adelaide. Okay. So keep on trying, you guys. It's got to be on your end, because if somebody can hear me and somebody cannot, it shows I am broadcasting. We can't see or hear anything, Gustavo says. If you're logged in, you should be able to see. Okay. No. I can't hear anything. Okay, let me go ahead and unmute and mute and unmute myself again and see if that works here. How about now? Can you guys hear me? Did everybody click on the link? You should all be able to hear me now. Can anybody hear me? We're going to get started in just a second. Okay, Gustavo says yes. Okay, there we go. Now we got someone that can hear. Okay, Claudia's good. Okay, Claudia, what did you do that enabled you to be able to hear me? Maybe you can direct some of the others. Now I'm getting a lot more people that can hear me. Click the link to YouTube, everyone, Esther is saying. Yeah, you guys, we're using a program that I feel is the best application out there for this. It's called Webinar Jam. And Webinar Jam, apparently Google Hangouts just did something with YouTube recently that they had to create a workaround. And so, but it should be seamless. You should be able to click on the links and it should just take you right into the webinar and you can hear. Jenny, you can hear me now? Okay, great. Rebecca, you can hear me? Alejandro, you can hear me? Alejandro says you cannot. All right. Okay, we're going to have to get started, you guys. If you cannot hear me for some reason, I apologize. It's got to be on your end. And these, by the way, are going to be recorded. So there will be a place where you'll be able to view these later. So all the webinars that we're doing, we are saving them, just so y'all know. But what I want to do today is I want to take you to DittoTalk. That's what this is all about today. I want to talk about presenting and just share with you a little bit about my story. And when I got started with 4Life, I had already had 18 years of experience in network marketing. And so I just kind of just did what I had always done the previous 18 years. And lately, though, things have changed dramatically in the way we communicate with each other. So for the first 18 years of my network marketing career and even into 4Life, it was all about conference calls over the telephone, three-way calls, massive action, talking to people, just talk, and present and do hotel meetings and home meetings. And I mean, if I could I would drive all the way from El Centro, California with Gabby to Los Angeles just to go to a Denny's to do a meeting with Carlos Santana when two people would show up, and that's what it was like. And a lot of meetings were like that. We'd go and sometimes nobody would show up. And if I ask y'all to raise your hands if that's ever happened to any of you, well, if you've been in network marketing for any length of time, you're going to raise your hand. It happens to all of us. We go out, we do meetings, and people don't show up. Well, what happened recently was, I've been traveling around the world presenting 4Life, doing things the way I've always done it. And, I would take advantage of PowerPoints, and the technology of the computer and all that. And that's wonderful. You can do a presentation in a live audience with a PowerPoint. So that technology is good, but it's still really not interactive. And then as I've traveled in 97 countries building 4Life, watching people do meetings, I'd ask myself, how many of these people come to a meeting the first time, they sit in on a meeting, and they leave and they understand very little of it, and they're not going to go out and duplicate and talk to people about it because they really didn't understand it. They're in no position to be presenting, and so they're completely 100% dependent on the presenter. And so the following week, their job of this new distributor is to now go and bring people to the meeting. And what happens if they can't find anyone, or they invite 5 people and nobody shows up? Well, they go to the meeting to support the meeting, and they sit in on the meeting. They might learn, of course. You always learn when you sit on a meeting. But the reality is your day was not as productive as you would like to have been had you have had 2, 3, or 4 guests with you at the meeting. So my attitude has always been simple. If you can't get them to the meeting, take the meeting to them. So that's how this works. DittoTalk is simply taking the meeting to the individual in the comfort of their own home, in front of their own computer, or you can do it at a Starbucks or a restaurant somewhere, wherever you are. You can do it via cellular, you can do it through Wi-Fi. But the point is, you can present to them and give them a good quality presentation, and you can do 2 or 3 or 4 of these in a day. So DittoTalk is designed to be doing one-on-one presentations in between your weekly meetings. So I never tell anybody to not do their weekly meetings, and I never tell anyone to not go to their weekly meetings, because there is no substitute for the human interaction. You know, the feeling, what you feel when you go to a live meeting, you're around people, you know, shaking hands, giving hugs, you know, talking, laughing, having a great time. There's just no substitute for that. But in between those live meetings, you're not going to do those live meetings every night of the week unless you're out on the road going from city to city. So what do you do in between the meetings? Well, you go ahead and you do DittoTalk. And so you're DittoTalking with people in between your meetings. And that's what this is all about. So let's talk about DittoTalk here and how DittoTalk works. Hopefully you're all been able to get on here. Let me read a few of the text messages here just to make sure. We got Michael from Adelaide, Australia is connected. Great. We got Samuel. I'm just looking through the text messages here to make sure everyone's on, because this is our first time we're doing this. Looks like most of you are good for now. We got a Diane here with the red question mark, says that she can't see.
Minimize the Google Hangout screen. It's the Google Hangout screen, right?
Okay. You all should be able to see my screen now. I apologize. You were seeing all the infinitely people coming in through the Google Hangout screen there. It just kept showing a loop. So now you're looking at my computer here. Hopefully you're able to see my 2 screens, and you can see I'm on DittoTalk, and I am acting as the presenter, and I'm acting as the observer. Okay. So the first thing everyone needs to know with DittoTalk is that when you go and open up your DittoTalk, because I've gotten this message a lot from people. They signed up for DittoTalk. What do we do now? Everybody should receive an email. There's one website that you log into to access your DittoTalk, and that website is bebetter123.com. Very simple. bebetter123.com. That is our DittoTalk portal. So you log into there. Once you log in, do not put your name in as it says in the middle of the screen. That is for people that are going to be receiving presentations in the future. If you look at the upper, not on my screen now because I've already set this up. This is when you go through for the first time. You will click on the upper right corner where it says presenters, click here. So where presenters click here, you would click on that, and then you put your information in. The first time through, you will have to put your 4Life ID number. Very important to know that your 4Life ID number is linked to your DittoTalk presentation. Why is that? That's because when you get to the end of DittoTalk, if you're going to sign the person up, you're going to be the enroller. Okay? So each DittoTalk is linked to an individual's 4Life ID number. So I do not recommend, having someone use your DittoTalk to present unless you want them to be presenting for you and giving you all their prospects. And they can certainly do that if they choose to, but that's not what it's designed for. So once you set up your DittoTalk and you're ready to go, At that point, you have a dashboard. In that dashboard, you then start adding people's names, email, their information, their phone number, the city or country that they're in, and you build up your dashboard of people you want to present to. Once you've added somebody to your dashboard, you can right-click on them and you can click present. And that's how you begin a presentation. So let me go through that again real quick, because I don't have it on my screen. I've already done that. Again, you log into bebetter123.com. In fact, let me try something here. I'm going to actually open up a new window and just see if this will work, just for the fun of it. You go to bebetter123.com. Very simple. That's what I'm doing right now. Hopefully you can all see that here. Now, a lot of people get hung up right here. They want to type in their name. Do not do that. That is for people that will be receiving a presentation. That's what you tell the person to do when you're going to present to them. What you want to do is you want to click in the upper, I apologize here, I'm trying to close these down. Right here in the presenters, click here. See that? You click there. And now, the first time you do that, you'll have to enter your 4Life ID number. All right? Now that you've done that, I've already logged in numerous times, so it populates by itself. Now I log in. Very simple. So I just click continue. I would log in. Once I log in, there's a dashboard that pops up. There's people's names. I can click on a name and I can click show presentation, which I'm not going to do because I'm actually in the middle of a presentation. So let me get out of this here real quick. Oh, I destroyed my old session, as you can now see. So now I have to get that session back here, you guys. Let me do that real quick so we can go through this. All right. And again, one other thing I have to do, I always say never apologize, but I do actually owe you all a little apology here. I had surgery, 4 surgeries. Actually, I saw 6 surgeries this week. And so I was drugged up all week, and I'm just kind of coming off of it. So I apologize if I do sound a little bit loopy here. I'm doing my best. All right, so now let me close all these out here. Hang on a second. Make sure I get this right here. And hopefully this will take me to where I have a split screen. There we go. Okay. So now we've got a split screen here. Hopefully y'all can see me okay. Let me go back in real quick and just take a quick look at the dashboard here. All right, everything looks good. Mason's on there. Everything looks good. Perfect. We got some no's. Well, hopefully people are all logged in and able to hear me here. So, all right. So looks like the connection's been lost on this end as well. Hopefully it's reconnecting. That's what happened when I went back in, by the way. When you guys do that, just so you all know, now this, just so you can see here, now I'm going to enter my name, all right, and start. So let's go back to the very beginning, you guys. So let's pretend you're giving me a presentation. You've gone to bebetter123.com. You clicked in the upper right corner of the presenter screen. You've gone in, you've put in your 4Life ID number, and you're ready to start presenting. You have your dashboard, which you saw my dashboard. You enter in people's information, their first, their last name, their phone number, the city that they're in, and you start populating your dashboard. Then you select a person you're going to present to. Select their name, and you click present. You call them on the phone. So let's just say that Mason just called me right now. Said, "Hey, Dave, I'd like to show you something really cool. I've started a new business, and I've got this amazing way that I present to people now. It's a virtual presentation online. It's really fun. It'll probably take about 20 minutes or so. Do you mind if I show it to you? It's really a lot of fun." And sure, Mason, show it to me. Mason has me go to bebetter123.com. I'm at bebetter123.com. Up pops up the window you see on my right side of the screen. I enter my first and last name as Mason has instructed me, and I click start. And there we go. Now we are connected. So Mason's screen is on the left over here. My screen is on the right. I've split the screens up so you can see what's happening. Now, I recommend that if you're going to practice on yourself, you want to do this as well. The reason being that if you go into practice mode, if you go into DittoTalk and you click on practice, you can practice and you can even see the slides on the right side of the screen, but you will not be able to see the videos. And you won't be able to like go through the, select on the various, the games that are there and so forth, the questions. So by splitting your screen, you're able to do both. You're able to go back and forth and do what I'm doing here right now. So that's my recommendation if you want to practice on one computer, split your screen. The other option would be just to use two computers. Take a laptop, put it next to a desktop, log in on the desktop, bebetter123.com, go to present, enter the information, go to your other laptop sitting next to it, go to bebetter123.com, enter in your first and last name, and now you can start presenting from one computer to the other, and you can see what's happening, okay? Now, when you get the person on the phone, you guys, this is what's critical, and this is what this whole webinar is about today. DittoTalk is a tool. It's a tool to help you present, and ideally what you're trying to do is you're painting a picture in someone's mind about what For Life is about how to present DittoTalk, because this tool is the tool we're using to present all over the world. You can be presenting to someone, like we have somebody from Australia on with us right now. Here they are watching this presentation. So presenting is really an art. Presenting requires skills. Presenting takes practice. Now, I'd been presenting, as I mentioned before, 18 years before I joined For Life. So I was able to hone in my presentation skills. But let me tell you about the first two presentations I gave. They were quite embarrassing. And these were not DittoTalk presentations. This goes back to when I was 21 years old. The first time I was asked to speak in Spanish. And it was not a network marketing presentation. It was a presentation actually in a church of all things. And I stood up in front of about 500 people in a church. And my first Spanish presentation that I ever gave in my entire life, I stood up and I had everything memorized in my head. I'd spent just, probably about 3 or 4 days memorizing it, going over and over and over in my head, word for word in Spanish. They called my name. The gentleman sitting next to me was making fun of me, was teasing me. And he said, "I bet you're going to forget everything when you get up there." Sure enough, they called my name, and in Spanish, we say, "Se me fueron las palabras." I forgot everything. And I looked at the audience, my face turned red, and I didn't know what to say. So I thought a lot of words are the same in English and Spanish, and right now I'm real embarrassed. So I said, "Estoy embarazado," which means I'm pregnant. So I told 500 plus people that I was pregnant, and I turned around and pointed at the guy that was making fun of me, and I said, "Por causa de él." So I said, "I'm pregnant because of him." And so that was my first Spanish presentation. Well, my first English presentation was a network marketing presentation. And it was the first company I was with. And I was at the age of 22. And I was always good at bringing in young people to the weekly meeting each week. And I would bring my people and we would sit and watch a presentation, but they would never do anything. I could never get any of these people to do anything. They would not take action. Finally, my mentor came up to me and he said, "Dave, look," at the time he called me David, "you're bringing in children to these meetings." And I says, "Well, they're close to my age. I'm 22 and they're 18, 19, 20. He said, "Look," he said, "most of them are interested in partying. All right. Nothing against young people. In fact, hey, the millennials are what's making things happen nowadays. So more power to them. But back then, the reality was, and we're talking 1982, at the time, most people really weren't interested in going into weekly meetings a whole lot. And even today, there's people that aren't interested in that too much. But I was inviting young people, and they had other interests. They were more interested in going out, going out partying and so forth. So my mentor said to me, Dave, look, don't come to another meeting until you can bring somebody older than you. So for the next 2 weeks, I missed the weekly meeting. And I'd never missed a weekly meeting because one of my other mentors, Jim Rohn, said, never miss a meeting. Attend every meeting because some will be life-changing and you don't know which ones they are. So I didn't want to miss the meeting, but I did. I followed instructions. And sure enough, after 2 weeks of missing a meeting, I finally showed up to a meeting with 4 adults, 4 people older than me. And so I was real proud of myself. We sat in the room, and we sat right in front, by the way, like little duckies in the front row. Guess what? The presenter did not show up. 30 minutes go by, 45 minutes go by. Finally, people are leaving the room. I could hear people, kind of angry, frustrated. Well, I stood up in front of everybody, turned around and said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give the presentation tonight. To this day, I have no clue what I said. And it really doesn't matter what I said. I thought I was going to pee my pants. I was so scared because of my first experience when I told everyone I was pregnant. So my point is this. I did the presentation. Don't know what I said. I was shaking. I was nervous. But I did it. Once I did it once, I knew I could do it again. And so that basically is how I began presenting. It was a train wreck. It was a disaster. But guess what? It's not that way anymore. I can run into somebody on the street and I can give a little napkin presentation in 60 seconds. I can give a 5-minute presentation through casual conversation if I'm standing in line at a bank. I can give a full-blown 1-hour presentation in a hotel room. Man, I can do all kinds of presentations. The point is, presenting is an art. And you learn to present the more you present. You see, I cannot, presenting is something that you can try to teach someone, but it's like baseball. I can tell you all about it. I can make you understand it completely. You can understand every rule there is to baseball. But does that make you a good baseball player? No. You got to step on the field. You got to go out and play the game. And that's what this Ditto Talk is all about, you guys. This is to help people present, many, many times a week. You should be presenting. And in the beginning, you should be practicing, okay? Now, when I say practice, who do you practice on? It's funny how I've had some people call me and they're still nervous to present. And I said, what are you nervous about? All you have to do is read. Who do you present to? Start with your friends. Start with your family. Call your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your cousin, aunt, uncle. Come on, you know somebody. Everybody knows somebody. Call them up and say, hey, I want to practice. Tell them you want to practice. That's what I did. I told my father I'd like to practice on him. What father is going to say, no, you can't practice on me, son? Of course he said yes. And now he's an international diamond today. He didn't join For Life in the beginning. That's okay. Not everybody will. Everybody has their time. Okay. So here's the other thing about Ditto Talking, you guys. Here's how I look at Ditto Talk. Imagine if we have thousands of people every night of the week Ditto Talking, presenting. It's a fact that many people are going to be planting seeds. Not everyone's going to sign up the first time they hear about For Life or the first time they get a Ditto Talk. Seeds will be planted, but guess what? If you continue, you will be harvesting those seeds that others planted, just like others will be harvesting seeds that you may have planted. That's the way this works. That's the way network marketing works. And that's the way that critical mass happens. Enough seeds are planted, and then enough people come behind to start harvesting those seeds, and kabam, you've got critical mass, and things just start taking off like crazy. So my vision is during the week, you've got your weekly meeting that you're doing. And even if you have a home meeting going on, you can do home meetings. But what are you doing in between? What are you doing in the time you have at home? You should be Ditto Talking. Always be prepared to Ditto Talk. Have your goals. How many Ditto Talks you're going to be doing, a week? How many Ditto Talks a day? How many Ditto Talks a month? Set your goals, okay? So let's go through Ditto Talk and presenting here real quick. A couple of other things very important to know about Ditto Talk. you've all been looking at the very first version. We are going to be shortening this up. We're tightening up the DittoTalk a bit. Some of the videos have been shortened already. We want this to be around the 20-25 minute mark where you can DittoTalk with someone and they can make an educated decision based on the information they've received. And you should be able to do 2, 3, or 4 DittoTalks in a day and not get fatigued. Now, if you're doing a DittoTalk and it takes you 45 minutes, now we're turning this into a 3-hour, where you're talking. I mean, even musicians don't do that for that long, unless you're the ones that played at our convention in Atlanta. They went 3 hours straight and it was awesome. But that's another story. So when you're DittoTalking, we want this to be where you can do 2, 3, 4 DittoTalk presentations in a day. Okay. Now, you're also going to see new DittoTalks come up. Now, I want to congratulate all those of you that joined DittoTalk. Did you take a chance by buying DittoTalk? Whether you got in on the beta team or you bought it at $150, that went to DittoTalk, by the way. You're in for life. So every DittoTalk we create, everything we do, you're going to get for free. There's other DittoTalks coming. We're working on a transfer factor DittoTalk. We knew we would always have one, but we wanted to create one first to start off with the Pro TF line because it's simple to talk about. Transfer factor can get complicated. Talking about protein, and losing weight and things like that, there's sizzle to it. There's a big buzz out there on protein right now. There's always a buzz on weight loss. But I have realized over the 18 years I've been working for life, I love talking about transfer factor. But the average person cannot talk about transfer factor. They get lost in translation, in the conversation, because it's not that it's complicated. It's just that it's something new, and anything new takes practice. So with this transfer factor DittoTalk we'll be creating, it will be a simple way of sharing transfer factor. We are going to talk about where it comes from. We're going to mention some of the benefits of it. But the great thing about each presentation we put together, whether we do one strictly on weight loss or we do one on transfer factor or whichever one we create, we're only having to create one segment, which is the product portion. The other portions remain the same. The portion on threats, the portion on conventional marketing versus direct-to-consumer marketing or network marketing, the Richard Branson video, residual income, things like that, all stay the same in the presentation. All we're going to be changing is the product portion of the DittoTalk. So you'll be seeing new DittoTalks. Now, what you're going to see, I'm not going to go back to my dashboard because then I have to re-log in and everything all over again. But what you will see in the future, when you go to your dashboard and you select an individual to present to, you will have a couple different presentations. You'll see transfer factor presentation, you'll see Pro TF presentation, and you will see in the near future a bulleted presentation. All the presentations will also be bulleted. What do I mean by bulleted? There are those of you that know how to present real well. So DittoTalk for you is just simply a tool to project on another individual's computer screen a visual that they can see while you're talking to them. You're gonna interject, you're gonna use your own verbiage, your own personality, your own words. For example, I have to thank, I don't know if he's on the line with us here today, Barry Blake from New Zealand. Barry, he spent a lot of time scripting and putting together, these scripts for the DittoTalk. And just because he's worked with systems a lot in the past, and he's worked with scripts a lot in the past. But Barry, being a Kiwi from down under, they use words like keen. Isn't that keen? We say, isn't that great? So isn't that cool? But we don't use keen a whole lot in the States, nor do we say tick here. We say click, or I'm sorry, we say check here, and down under they say tick here. So you're going to use your own words with a bulleted DittoTalk presentation. The visuals are there, the bullets will be there. You're going to use your own verbiage. We didn't put a bulleted one up right away for the very reason that I want people to get familiar with the script first. Because if you have a bulleted one right away and people start using it, they're going to get lost. So everyone's going to have to kind of get familiar with all the visuals, the slides that we have in the DittoTalk. and then you'll be using the bolded presentation. So let's move on now, okay? Very simple, you guys. All you've got to do is be able to read and hit the down arrow. As you can see on the right side of my, I'm sorry, on the left side of my screen, it says pick up the phone, call their prospect, simply read the script, hit the down arrow. So once I hit the down arrow, you can see what happens again. All right, it says sometimes the script will move automatically forward to let you know the observer is ready. The rest of the time, simply hit the down arrow. So we'll just keep on moving. All right, now the videos play on the observer screen only. Now, as I mentioned before, if you're in practice mode, you cannot see the videos because you're using one window to try to do two things. You can't do that. That's why I've split my screen where I've got two windows showing here, okay? And it says the best way to experience is on a big screen. This is also real important to know, you guys. Currently, if someone is going to use an iOS device, if they're going to use an iPhone or a smartphone or an iPad, they do need to download a browser called Puffin. That's P as in Paul, U-F-F-I-N, Puffin. The Puffin browser is a browser that's designed for gamers. It's a very fast browser. The only thing with Puffin, because it's designed for gamers, you've got to do things like hit the menu to get your keyboard. The keyboard doesn't pop up automatically like everyone's familiar with an iPhone or an iPad. You have to open your keyboard in order to put your information in. But I'll tell you this, the Puffin browser will no longer be necessary the first quarter of next year. A new version of DittoTalk is coming out where it will be seamless through iPads, iPhones, Samsung Galaxies, all that. So all the smartphones, you will not have to download anything. You'll just be able to go straight in and receive the presentation or give the presentation. But for now, you do need to use Puffin if you're on an iOS device or smartphone, okay? Okay, so, and understand also that if you make mistakes, it's okay. We all make mistakes, even when you're given a regular presentation and you're not reading a script, you make mistakes. It's no big deal, you just move forward. But I do recommend, by the way, go through it and read through it a few times yourself before you start presenting to someone, okay? So now you call the individual. Here it says, give Dave a call. So you call me, Mason calls me. He's going to start reading, hey, Dave, you started to work with a fantastic company. They've given a really cool interactive multimedia software program to use, okay? Now, you know that I just read that. I didn't say it word for word, though, okay? I just read that right there, but I did not say it word for word. That's the difference between someone who's read something and understands it as opposed to someone who's not read it and doesn't understand it. You have about 15 minutes to go through this with me while you're in front of a computer, Dave. If you do, let me show you, this is really cool. I say, yeah, great, let me take a look at it. So I'm going to go to Be Better 123, log in. So there we are. Okay, and we're going to get started. Okay, now, one thing that's very important, you guys, if you get lost in a presentation, you can always go to the tiles. If you see right here, right there, I'm at the tiles. You can see me move my mouse around, okay? You can go to a tile and select a tile if you want to. So if you happen to get lost or something gets disconnected, and you don't want to start from the very beginning, you can go select a tile where you had left off, okay? And I know you can't see every tile here right now, so sometimes you got to hit a tile and then you got to hit the down button a couple of times. But I'm going to go back to right here real quick, all right, and just scroll through. All right, and there's where we are. Going through the presentation. Okay. Now, here's what's real important, you guys. One thing I learned a long time ago. It's very important that you talk to the person the way they need to be talked to. I get people that talk to me sometimes, and I get prospected. I'm a networker, and people know I'm a networker, and so now and then somebody will try to prospect me. And, I let them know right away that I have a home, and I love my home, and I love my people, and I feel very blessed where I am in my life, and I wish them the best of luck. And of course, I tell them about For Life as well. But what's important is that you approach the individual and talk to them according to their personality. That's why you want to profile them as quickly as possible. So they're profiled by a color, all right? So blues, as you can see at the top of your screen here, it says on the left side, if Dave can't choose a color box, then just say, hey, Dave, what are you more interested in? You're interested in having fun, just making money, saving the world, or researching? What of those things interest you? Now, of course, a lot of people are going to say making money, but the whole point is you're trying to profile them. But if they click over on one of the you can see here, red, top level execs. If they click on blue, you can see that those are for entertainers, performers, and the blue people, they're the ones that like to have fun. They're the ones that just, they don't take everything real seriously. They just want to have fun. And then you've got your yellows. Your yellows are emotional people. And when I say emotional, it's just because they're people. They like to help people. They're going to be in maybe health profession, teachers, nurses, doctors, social workers, things like that. People that just like to help other people. And then there's your greens. Your greens are going to be your technical ones, okay? So how do you address those people? Well, the main thing is to be prepared, because let's face it, you are talking to a human being on the other end, and the person on the other end, they can ask questions, even as they're going through the presentation. Now, granted, when you're presenting to someone and you're brand new, it's your first time you're presenting, that can be a bit scary, because if they ask questions and you don't know the answer, it's like, oh, what do I say? Well, you know what? It's okay if you don't know what to say. One thing I've learned in this business of 35 years now, honesty is the best policy. So if you don't have the answer, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, Mason, I don't know the answer to that, but I tell you what, I'll find it out and I'll get right back to you once I know. If you give me 48 hours or so, I'll get the answer for you. And that way, every time you reach out and get an answer, that's one more bullet in your holster. So if that question ever comes up again, you've got the knowledge. All right. And that's going to give you more confidence, by the way. Knowledge creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. So the DittoTalk is the action that you're doing. And by doing that, people may ask questions. You're going to get the answers. You're going to get more confident over time. So the more you present, the more confident you get. So again, greens, be prepared. They can get technical with you. Blues just want to have fun. They're going to love the Great Escape videos and things like that. Your reds are going to be David Lisenby, Steve Two types. Those are your CEOs, top level executives. Stick to the point. Don't get off on tangents with them, and don't be too long. They don't like long presentations. Yellows, the yellow people can get off on talking a lot because they like to help people. So once you start talking about people, especially when you get into Foundation for Life or the Fortify program, they become very interested in that because that's what they're about, helping others. All right. So profiling is very important in the beginning of the presentation. We want to make sure that you know their color, and throughout the presentation that you've got their color. So let me go and pick mine here. I'm just going to pick blue. And there we go. So now we move on. All right. Now we wanted to make this so there was an icebreaker as well. All right. So that's why we say in here, we're going to get started with some personal and intimate questions. Well, obviously there's no personal intimate questions, but we do that just to kind of break the ice and make it fun. So if you want to throw that in there, however you want to say it, but the whole point is it's an icebreaker just to kind of crack a little joke here and get the presentation started. All right. So we're just kidding. There's no personal, there's no intimate questions. Okay. But a lot of people are worried about their financial situation, right? We do know that. So by the way, I want y'all to know something here. We are looking at removing this portion right here and going straight into this portion right here. I'm going to click on this. We know it's 96%. 96% of the people lay awake at night worrying. And we know that at some point in life, everyone lays awake at night worrying about their health or their finances. So by shortening the presentation, we are going to be removing that first little section of slide right there and beginning with this right here. What percentage of people do you think retire wealthy? And by the way, we are going to substantiate this. This is from the US Census of 2016. This is not made up by someone. Everything we have in here is substantiated. So the US Census for 2016 says that 1% of the people actually retire wealthy after 40 years of work. And you can state that, you can make that claim. So if you think about it, if after 40 years of work, only 1 out of 100 actually are wealthy, something's wrong. I mean, people are doing it wrong. And that's the whole point here. You know, what is it they're getting wrong? That after 40 years of work, you've got one, out of 100 that are wealthy. You got 36 that are dead. You got 54 that are dependent on relatives or Social Security. And then that makes 90 out of 100, by the way. So 90 out of 100 are dead broke, or they're dead after 40 years of working. 10 are left, and 5 of those are still working. And guess what the new statistic is? Those 5 that are still working, actually it's more than that now, till the age of 80 years old. Who wants to work until they're 80 years old? Okay, so we're just trying to make a point here that, look, something's really wrong. What needs to change in order for people to actually retire wealthy? All right, so you've got one is considered wealthy after 40 years. All right, we know that they're hardworking people, so what's the problem? All right, well, the problem is that a very small group of people have figured out how to really create real wealth. So what we're doing here is we've created curiosity. All right, if 1 out of 100 are retiring wealthy, what is it that they're doing? What can be done so that people can retire wealthy? Now, here's the other thing too. Not everybody has 40 years left to retire wealthy. There's some of us, like me, I'm 56 years old, so, I'm within a decade of what they would call retirement. Of course, I don't really believe in retirement, but nevertheless, because when I say retire, retiring is just enjoying life. You continue to do what you love and you're retired. But the reality is most people are going to have to work, until they're 65 or older in order to enjoy some life. All right. So let's figure out what is it that these people are doing. All right. There's threats. All right. We want to go into the threats. It's very important to know what's coming in the future. And this is something that I believe, the millennials just kind of take for granted in a way. When I say the millennials, I'm talking about, the younger generation. Why? Well, those of us that are on the line here right now, I'd say if you're probably 40 and older, you probably remember the days of VHS tapes. And I remember when CDs first came out. I remember listening to 8-track tapes and then cassette tapes. And then it came out with CDs, digital. No one knew what digital was before. It was all analog. So times have changed, you guys. But now, just walk around and look at how many people are staring at their cell phones throughout the day, carrying the cell phone in their hand. You can't live without your cell phone. So the whole point is that we live in an age today where communication and information is very rapid. And so things are changing quickly. And it's even been on the news lately and on television that if you're not prepared for change and you're not prepared to adapt, you're going to get lost. You're going to get left behind, and you're going to end up being one of those ones that missed the boat and were one of the ones that stood back and said, what happened? While the other ones were out there making it happen. All right. And the millennials, they're making it happen, but they're kind of making it happen without knowing that they're making it happen because they don't remember the old days. They just know what there is now. And so now we've got this technology and things are changing very fast. And this change is causing a lot of confusion, a lot of grief. Just to give you an example of what this change is causing, I was in South Africa a couple months ago, walking out of my hotel room, and I was taking a hotel car to the office. I've got an LP center in Johannesburg, and I'm taking off to go to the LP center, and I'm climbing in a hotel car, and right in front of me in the street is a fist fight going on between an Uber driver and a taxi driver. They're literally fighting it out in the street. In fact, Corey Flores, he missed his flight. He's on with us on this presentation today. He missed his flight at the airport because his Uber driver got in a fight with a taxi driver. Technology, you guys, you cannot get in the way of it. All right. The taxi driver should have seen it coming. All right. You snooze, you lose. That's the way it is in today's society. And that's why I felt DittoTalk was important, because this is technology at work. And it's going to get better and better and better, you guys, as we do more DittoTalks and create more presentations. But my point is this. Times are changing. Things are happening fast. So with these new threats, we had to put in here robotics. You've got things that are coming up. I mean, look at what's happening now. You've got I'm going to click artificial intelligence. We know that's the answer. You've got, as I mentioned earlier, you got, Uber, but there's driverless cars. Okay, driverless cars. There's now, short order cooks that are robots. Artificial intelligence is going to be huge in the future. And so a lot of jobs are going to be lost by that. So the picture we're trying to paint here as we go through this, and we're going to tighten some of this up, you guys. So, don't be surprised when you log in to give a presentation. There will be an update going out. We're not just going to throw a presentation in there and say, once you open it up and it's a different presentation, you go, oh my word, what is this now? You'll get an email update encouraging you to go in, look at the presentation, walk through it, read through it. We're not really changing anything. We're just shortening it up a little bit and removing a couple of things, okay? So let's move on here. All of them. So it's important to understand when you're presenting, what we're trying to do is we're trying to present a picture here in their mind that, hey, look, that people worry about their wealth. Are you one of the ones that can be one of the 1%ers? Of course you can if you position yourself properly, but you got to be prepared. Be prepared for what lies ahead. Be prepared for some of these threats that lie ahead. And of course, we do put in here the Oxford University study that was done about jobs that will be disappearing. Now, I do understand one point I want to make, you guys. There are countries out there that will be doing ditto talks, and to them, robotics is something that might seem light years away. I disagree. Cellular telephones is a classic example. Cell phones began in the United States, if I recall. Well, where are cell phones today? They're everywhere. In fact, the cellular industry is way ahead of the non-cellular industry in the third world countries. I've been there. I've been to Rwanda. I've been to Burundi, Africa. People walk around with their cell phones. Everybody's got a cell phone. So if you think that technology is not going to affect third world countries, you're wrong. It is going to affect them. So it's important to know that, okay? So a lot of these professions are going to be changing. And again, if you're not prepared for the change, you're going to get left behind. So we go through this in the beginning of the presentation, and I'm just going to move along here real quick. Retire young, all right? That's what we want people to be able to do, to enjoy life, to retire young. And what's your definition of retirement? It doesn't mean that you have to quit networking. It doesn't mean you have to quit talking to people. It just means you do what you want, when you want, how you want, with who you want, where you want, and all that good stuff. That's all. But, it's funny, as the ones that say, I want to retire today, if you're a true entrepreneur, you're probably never going to retire. It's in your blood. You enjoy helping people. You enjoy working with people. You have fun doing this. So every time you give a presentation, you get all excited about it, just like I do. I cannot give a presentation and not I get excited. I can't do it and be unexcited. I always get excited about it. All right. So this one I felt is very, very important, by the way, in the presentation. We want people to be engaged in the presentation. So by having them slide over and select what they feel they need in order to be able to relax, to take time off, to take it easy, to enjoy life. What do you need in income? They select it. They pick right here, and then they click enter. A simple formula is used at 3% interest in the bank. That's what they have to save up if they want to be able to enjoy life and not have to worry about money right now. Well, who has that to put in the bank? If you had it to put in the bank, you wouldn't be on this presentation right now, would you? All right, you're probably out doing something else. So the reality is the person listening doesn't have that, but you're making a point to them. It's a massive amount of money and they don't have that. But what if you could earn that kind of money each month? We're talking about $4,500 a month of income. If you could earn that without having to save that kind of money in the bank, would you be interested in that? Yes, there's a way that you can do it, and people have learned how to do that. So you could rest easy at night. You can dream about stop working or what you're doing right now that you may not enjoy, or whatever you're doing that you don't enjoy. Maybe you can start doing something that you do enjoy. All right, and then there's the encore careers. There's those that are, as I mentioned earlier, they're working until they're 80. I see it every day. In fact, just the other day I went to the grocery store and there was a person bagging at the end of the counter. I'd probably say the person was in their late 70s, bagging groceries. And I thought to myself, wow, what did that person do during their life? Did they go to college? What was their education? What was their real career like? Why are they doing this now? Obviously, they have to do it. I could tell in the person's face, too, that they had to do it. They didn't really seem to be too happy about bagging. But anyhow, that's what they were doing. All right, so we want people to understand they can be a 1%er, all right? That's the whole point of this. You can be a 1%er if you want to be, and you can retire wealthy. Now, this is where the fork in the road is, you guys, and this is where some of the changes, we can make a change in any one of these, okay? The success system we want people to pick on first, all right? The reason we want them to pick the success system first is because we want to go through the residual income so that they can see and they can understand the power of residual income. All right. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole presentation because it could take us a couple of hours because I'm taking a lot of time talking on each one here. But the whole point is we want them to understand what residual income is. Still today, I go out and I talk to people and I ask them if they understand residual income. It amazes me how few people understand what residual income is. We've been trained, we've been programmed to believe that the way that we're supposed to earn a living is to exchange time for money. You take some of your time, your talent, and you apply that towards a job, and you get paid for that. Now, I was brought up in this industry, with the education, I'm talking network marketing, when I was 21 when I began, that job stands for just over broke. You're paid enough just so you can get by, and that's basically it. Because the reality is, if you have a job, you're working someone else's dream. You're building someone else's dream. Whatever company you're working for, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, you guys. Let's face it. We all, have had a job in our lives. You have to start out somewhere. There's nothing wrong with having a job starting out. But don't spend your entire life building someone else's dream. Build your dream. That's what you're here for. Now, that's my philosophy anyways. So anyhow, building your dream is what you want to be able to do, all right? And you want to understand residual income. And that's why we go through this pie chart of explaining traditional marketing. And you've all seen this before. There's a lot of PowerPoints that go through this and they explain how traditional marketing works, the conventional market. And then we go into direct to consumer so people can understand exactly how the new marketing works. Let me go back to that slide real quick. Right there, okay? You've got 64%, which is ironically what we pay out for life, all right? That goes to us. So we're getting paid to do one thing, you guys. This is what it all comes down to. Every one of you that's on this call right now gets paid to do one simple thing, and that is to talk, to DittoTalk, to share, to present, whether it's in a home meeting, a weekly meeting, a one-on-one, ditto talking, napkin presentation. We're paid to talk. That's what we get paid for. Every time we talk, we plant a seed. We create an awareness. The more the awareness is created, the more people take interest. The more people take interest, the more they get involved. The more they get involved, the more people get committed. The more people get committed, the more it grows and momentum takes place and critical mass happens. That is the cycle of this type of business. But it all begins with you and me talking. And that's what we do. Now, DittoTalk, and I'm not going to go through the whole presentation I mentioned before, but I want you to understand something. DittoTalk is also a training tool. So after you've done, half a dozen DittoTalks, you'll be able to literally, go on autopilot. And you probably won't even be reading the script anymore because you'll have it memorized and you'll need the bulleted DittoTalk. That's when you would use the bulleted DittoTalk because you may not say it word for word every single time, depending on who you're talking to, because everyone has a different personality and everybody receives in a different way. So, but after ditto talking a few times, you've trained yourself. So I look at DittoTalk as a way for someone to sign up in For Life. They can start Ditto Talking right away. I mean, the very first night, even the first hour if they want, get signed up, get their business started, get set up on DittoTalk, call family, friend, neighbors, whoever they call, say, hey, I just started something really cool I want to show you. And what's interesting is in that excitement of starting something new, that excitement exudes as well to the individual that you're presenting to. They feel it, they can see it, in on their computer screen when you're talking to them. There should be excitement there. You just started a whole new business venture and you're excited about it. So present and practice. So DittoTalk is a training tool to practice as well and help turn everybody into master presenters. Okay. So I'm just going to go through real quick here, a couple of more slides up to the video portion. Network marketing. Here's the interesting thing about network marketing. You guys, I understand that there can be a negative connotation towards MLM, multi-level marketing, network marketing, but you know what? That's changing. It's turning around. Why? Because more and more people are realizing that you really can be successful at network marketing. And if you were not successful, why? Just stand back and ask yourself why. And here's what it usually boils down to. It boils down to either A, the company that you represented didn't know what they were really doing, and they were being run by someone who may not have been very experienced, and they made decisions that affected everybody in the company. And I can even name companies that that's happened to. Many of you probably heard of companies like Monavie. Remember Monavie? Everyone was bragging about how they hit $1 billion. Well, they're gone today. All right. Why? Well, whoever's running that company tried to do too much too quick. That's death to a company too. There is a way companies need to be run. And that's why I'm very, very proud of the way our CEO and our founder has started or founded the company, and they've run the company from the beginning. We grow every single year. For Life grows. We've never had one year where we've dropped in sales. Healthy, steady growth. Where other companies that have gone up like a rocket came down like a rock, and they're gone. Then other companies, I'm not going to mention any more names. I don't like bad-mouthing companies, but the reality is it wasn't the distributor's fault. The distributor got excited about something, and they got hurt by it. And since they were hurt by it, it left a bad taste in their mouth. Now, here's what I say about that. Is that the first time it's ever happened to anybody? I don't think so. Is it the last time? I don't think so. It's going to happen again to somebody else. Does that mean that we should all close our doors and just sit on the couch and watch TV all day long? No. You move ahead. That's what a champion does. A champion figures it out. What if every child that fell down and scraped their knees stopped walking? We'd all be crawling around. All right? You get up, dust yourself off, and you move ahead. And you learn from the lesson. Lesson learned on that one. I learned the same lesson. You are who you associate yourself with. That's the lesson. So if you were involved with a company like Monavie in the past, and again, I'm not trying to badmouth Monavie, I'm just simply saying that the lesson learned is associate yourself with people that know how to run a company. That's why when I went to join For Life, I made the decision to fly to Utah to meet David Lisenby. Why? Because I was making a life-changing decision. I was 38 years old, had a new girlfriend, starting a new family, and I was no spring chicken anymore, but I still had another shot. So when I met David Lisenby, that's all it took. I knew right then and there that this company would be successful because of his principles, his values, his experience, and his vision. And that's what sold me. And of course, the rest is history. Was I right or not? Shake your heads up and down because I was right. So back to DittoTalk. I apologize. I got on a tangent there. Residual income, network marketing. If people talk bad about it, let's talk about good about it. Who's talking good about it? You got these great people that look up the network marketing. They know how powerful it is. They endorse it. They recommend it. In fact, do you know that Robert Kiyosaki's employees, that he recommends every one of his employees join a network marketing company so they could learn about being an entrepreneur and empowering themselves? So, then Richard Branson, of course, we have his video in here, which will be coming up here. Actually, the guess is, let me just do this real quick. They all do. And you got Kiyosaki. And then I'm sure that you've all seen the Richard Branson video. By the way, I believe we're going to be removing the Dr. Charles King portion right there. We just feel that it's enough by mentioning Kiyosaki. And then, of course, Richard Branson, where they can click on their screen. I'm not going to play it, but it's a great video of Richard Branson there. So we go through the whole residual income part. We talk about network marketing. We endorse network marketing. Then we unveil, what if you had a company that had all these wonderful systems in place, everything in place for you to start out right now building your business? You can do that with 4Life. And we get right into 4Life. So again, I don't want to go through the presentation, but you guys, the Ditto Talk, again, it is designed to help you present day after day after day. But don't give up on your other meetings that you're doing where you're interacting live. And even if you're sitting with someone and you want to Ditto Talk and you're sitting next to each other, have fun doing it. You know, Ditto Talk, just to show them the tool and give them a presentation that way. And you still have the human interaction there, and you can laugh, have fun together while you're doing it. But the Ditto Talking is to get people engaged and do what they should be doing throughout the week until your weekly presentation comes. Now, if there's no weekly presentation in your hometown, we're going to be doing presentations as well online so people can join in. This is the first of our Ditto Talk presentation that we're doing, but you'll be getting a lot of invitations with webinars. We'll be doing different types of trainings. We'll be doing training on the entire DNA system as well, which I don't want to get into today. We've already gone an hour so far, but the whole system will entail the lead page. I want to bring you up to speed where we are in lead page right now so you'll know. We currently have the questionnaire that is being shaped. When I say shaped, it's being whittled down, if you will. We're trying to keep the questions to where there's somewhere in the ballpark of about 25 different questions that somebody, and they're simple questions. They're really easy. But what it does is it profiles a person as to whether or not they are the type of individual that really, has what it takes to be successful in the 21st century in owning their own business. And then there is the video. The video is currently being scripted. So everyone that has a lead page, the lead page is two things only: a video that's an awareness video. And if you want to hear the voice of the video, and I'm knocking on wood here because I think we finally have it locked down. It looks real good, but just watch the 4Life Vista video. Listen to the voice. That's the voice. And it's an awareness video that's to create an awareness about change, the future, what lies ahead. Are you prepared? If you're not, you might get chewed up and spit out. And so what do you need to do to be prepared? Take these questions and find out if you are really ready. Are you prepared for what's about to happen? And that leads to a Ditto Talk. So the lead page is to create an awareness. It's kind of the hook, if you will, that you can cast out there. Facebook, you can put it out there. You can email it to people, put it out there, on a URL, however you want to do it. That is your net. That's your first exposure, if you will. So when people see that or they hear the video, they take the questionnaire, the whole point is they then want to Ditto Talk. They want to know more about it. So you take them through a 20-minute Ditto Talk presentation, and you're inviting them into the 4Life family. And then it's real important. They realize that we are a family. They realize that there's not just you and them. There's a whole group of people here. There's a whole 4Life family of people ready to welcome them on board. And that's why we do these webinars. Now, a lot of these webinars that you'll be seeing, this one here is a fully live webinar. Some of them will be recorded webinars. And you probably won't know the difference, by the way. But the recorded ones obviously will seem to be a bit more professional, not on the fly. And so the webinars we'll be bringing them to will be different training webinars and so forth. But the whole point is they realize there's a family. But ultimately, you guys, the key is getting them in front of people as well. Get them to a rally. And that's one thing at 4Life that we are planning on doing, is having these regional rallies, whether they're in Philadelphia or they're in LA or they're in Missouri or Oregon, wherever they are. Build your business around the rallies. I did that back in the 80s with a company called NSA, National Safety Associates. And I made it to the top 10 as a national marketing director with that company. And so the way I built the business was if there was a rally going on in San Francisco, I would go there a couple of days ahead of time and start working the market and just get as many people as I could to the rally. That's what you want to do. So you're ditto talking people like crazy, and you're building around that rally. So as you start seeing these regionals pop up where For Life has throughout the year, 2017, build around those, work the rallies. And eventually there's always going to be someone on the team that's, on your team or whoever team you're part of, and I'll talk about that in a second, that's at the rally that can help support you if you're not able to go to the rally. And I want to talk about teams, and then we'll finish the call here. We'll go to a Q&A, and then we'll finish. And I can go through the whole Ditto Talk again in the future for those of you that need me to. But I do want to say this. There are many people that have joined this system that are part of teams, whether they're INT, Winners Team, Dream Builders, Team Diamond, IMT, International Mentors Team, just a lot of teams. I've probably forgotten a number of teams. You guys, For Life is my family. I've spent 18 years traveling around. Every team I just mentioned, I had a handle in helping that team get developed, whether it's INT. 4 years I spent traveling to Puerto Rico and the Dominican from 2000 to 2004, before it was even founded, working and building a business. I'm not bragging, I'm making a point. In Malaysia, I spent a lot of time in Malaysia helping them get started. Australia, New Zealand with Barry, the Quecks as well in Malaysia and Singapore, all over the world. The point is this: it doesn't matter what team you're on. We're all part of the same family. And if everyone learns to support each other and edify each other and build each other, guess what? We all win. Everybody wins. And that's what it's about. Yes, there's always competition, but it's friendly competition. And you know what? Hey, if I'm out there and I've got someone that's cross-line that has a question they need to be answered, of course I talk to them. Of course I support them. My philosophy is very simple. All of my meetings are open to anybody. Anywhere I go present, it's open to anybody that wants to come. I don't care whether they're from Mars, they can come and listen in. Now, my personal time, like right now, what I'm doing right now, is directed towards the system. All right. I do want to build upon this system. I want to build this system to help people, whether you use part of the system, all of the system, some of the system, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm just laying this out there to try to help people that want to be part of this and build the business. So I know today's webinar might seem a little bit all over the place. I apologize. As I mentioned, I had 6 surgeries this week, and I'm doing actually pretty good after being cut open 6 times. But nevertheless, I'm here. So with that, let's go ahead and open up to Q&A, and then we'll finish the call up, because I'm actually going to have to check out of my hotel that I'm in pretty soon. And let me get back to my screen. I'm actually going to get off of screen sharing, because you're going to see this infinite loop here that's really crazy. And stop sharing my screen here. Okay. I believe I'm not showing my screen now, but hopefully you can all hear me. So are there any questions at all? And there's probably going to be a lot of questions. We'll answer a few of them. We're going to be doing this every Saturday, you guys. Every Saturday at 10 o'clock Pacific time. You can plan on having me or somebody will be there available to go through the system, through Ditto Talk, and to help anybody that has any questions. So looks like we got Claudia saying, what should I do? If that's Claudia Borges, I'll get back to Claudia and we'll figure out what's happened. I don't know what happened. Do we have any questions at all? We got Belgium on. Thanks for dialing in, Belgium. Okay, it looks like hopefully we're all still on here with me. You can all hear me here. Somebody type something in and tell me you can hear me. The last text I see is hello from Belgium. Okay, well, hopefully you can all hear me here. I want to thank you all for being on the webinar today. We've gone a little bit over an hour. There we go. Ann can hear me. Thank you, Ann. Great. I appreciate that. So with that, it sounds like everybody heard me. Are there any questions on Ditto Talk? I want to make sure that I'm answering questions on that anybody may have with technicalities. Okay, the replay. these webinars are going to be on the website go4dna.com. Go4dna.com. You'll be able to go there. We're not going to lock it down yet. We're going to leave these webinars open for anybody to listen to. But once the system is completely developed, then you will have to log in, which means all of you that are already part of this, you will be receiving an email which will allow you to log in and create your password. But for now, it's open to anybody that wants to listen to these webinars. And as well, the YouTube channel, we do have our own YouTube channel, by the way. So I believe they'll be available through YouTube as well, but they will be up on the website. So I appreciate y'all taking the time here. Let's see, can you connect more than one person? No, you cannot. Carlos, DittoTalk is meant to be one-on-one only. Now, I'm glad you asked that question. We are turning DittoTalk into a PowerPoint as well. We've not done it yet because we are carving down or shortening or tightening up the webinar. I'm sorry, tightening up the DittoTalk to create the webinar. I apologize. To create the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint presentation will obviously not have areas where there's forks in the road where somebody can select. It will be a PowerPoint based on the same, everything will be the same, but you'll just go straight through it, all right? So you will be able to do a PowerPoint presentation. It will be the same as the DittoTalk presentation, but without the games and selections and things like that. But the videos and all that will all be in there, okay? So you can present in front of a group, but it will be PowerPoint. It will not be DittoTalk. Any other questions at all? Well, it seems like you're all getting on with DittoTalk pretty good then, because I don't see a whole lot of technical questions. But please tell your people, for those people that do purchase DittoTalk, that they have to get set up first. They have to select the upper right corner of the screen, and that's where they get set up. Everyone seems to, and I understand, because right in the middle, you always get that window to put your name in. That's for the person who's going to receive the presentation. So again, I thank you all for joining us here today. Next week, we'll have a webinar that will be a bit more structured, and you should see a tighter DittoTalk presentation. We'll have that done during the week. You'll all receive an email on it. In the meantime, let's keep DittoTalking, sharing the message, planting seeds, harvesting seeds, have fun doing it, grow your business, and retire young. And if you're not young, retire and have fun. So thanks, you guys. I appreciate you all joining me here today. And I just want you to know that we love you all, and we're grateful that you're all part of the 4Life family. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.